Welcome to that weekly recap podcast. I'm your host, Skeeny, and these are the boys.
Hello,
Like, am I supposed to say something?
it's Evan.
We got
It's
Crazy, we got Zabs, we
Diesel.
got Diesel, and we got Promasian. We do not have Mace or Yummy. Friendship ended with Mace and Yummy. Now I just got these other crackheads.
Yeah, they died.
They're gone. They did
Listen,
not want to
trade
play
one
participate.
minority for another.
Don't you call me a freaking crackhead?
Oh, all right. We've got
Dude.
these other nicotine addicts.
I'll accept.
You mean
I've never even
alcohol
seen
addicts?
a cigarette. What
Yeah,
the
that
hell?
too. All right.
It's a cigarette.
So, this week on stream, I played some Mortal Shell for the first half, and then we played some Deep Rock Galactic for the second half. But I wanted to get a couple of everybody in here, just so that we could talk about the end of the console generation coming up. I think on Tuesday, the Xbox Series X drops.
Yeah, wow.
PlayStation
Holy
5
shit.
drops somewhere around there. And it's going to be the end of an era, so we're going to sort of go over that, give our games of the year, game of the generation, after we sort of go over what we did on stream this week. So let's see. We could start with... I'm going to start with Mortal Shell. How many of you guys paid attention to my Mortal Shell stream? I know Zabs was there. I was chatting with him a little bit.
I was busy.
Evan
Yeah,
was
I was at
busy.
work.
All right.
Yeah, I had to work since I
We're
came
friends.
back.
How many of
Since-
us?
Zabs is the real friend.
Us?
To be fair, I had just gotten over COVID, so
Fair enough. You get a pass on this one. But next
I was
time...
busy getting yelled at by Mexican men.
Understandable. That'll happen. So...
Why? Interesting.
Dude, don't ask. It's racist to ask. So, Mortal Shell, a Souls-like made by some veteran developers in the industry. It's really cool, and it's sort of like a condensed Souls experience. It's got this intertwining world that you can get lost in, some good lore, tough combat, focus on bosses and music, and decent build variety. It's nice and tight, very polished, excellent sound design, visual effects, everything feels heavy and gritty and dark. And the game is short, but the entire game benefits from it. It is just such a clean experience from beginning to end. And I really enjoyed it as a Souls veteran. I'd be interested to see how someone like Crazy feels picking it up, because being just baby's first Souls might work out. I don't know. I'd have no idea if pure unadulterated Souls game is something that anybody could pick up. I'm interested to see if that's something that a Souls virgin could really get into.
I mean, if you're proposing such an idea, I'm honestly... The way you're describing it makes it sound extraordinarily interesting. Obviously from a gameplay perspective as well as possibly even a narrative perspective. And as someone who also does not play anything Souls-like, that'd be kind of interesting. How many multiplayer is it, or is it just one?
It's just single player.
Gotcha. Yeah, honestly, it sounds like a very interesting game. I should probably pick it up.
Yeah, it's not a full priced release. It's $40 base, and then a sale will just take you down from there. But yeah, the limited scope of the game makes it so that even the convoluted narrative that a Souls usually has going for it is all the more condensed and refined and easier to wrap your head around, just because there's not as many characters or locations or anything like that. It might be the most boiled down way, the most boiled down and polished way to play a Souls-like that there is to date. And in the past, I'd considered Sekiro as that especially for people who have played Assassin's Creed games and are interested in the Souls genre. But I think that if Assassin's Creed doesn't happen to be your action game forte, that Mortal Shell would be another good in to that world.
Just going back to that, Assassin's Creed. So I've played a pretty much almost all of the Assassin's Creeds, and I started
Created all the assassins.
playing Sekiro, and I will say I think Sekiro actually even with like assassinations and Assassin's Creed are really really like beneficial. I think I almost think that Sekiro does like stealth kills better than Assassin's Creed does. It's Sekiro is a really good game, so if you guys
So
haven't
it's not close enough to
tried
Assassin's
it,
Creed because it's actually a good game.
it all Assassin's Creeds are good games, but what I'm saying is that I like how they implemented um the Assassin's type of gameplay into like a Soulsborne type of video game.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's what I'm sort of saying. That's why I've been pitching to Crazy the idea that he should play Sekiro, just because I know that he has an Assassin's Creed background, but he also had a hard time getting into Dark Souls 1. So I
Yeah,
would consider Sekiro a much better in for him because there's that through line.
yeah,
Yeah, I cannot get into Dark Souls for the life of me. So if there was some, I don't know, like mixture, for lack of a better term, between the two, like if it was more like Assassin's Creed, then I could probably get into it.
Gotcha.
yes.
If it's
It
purely
it
like a
is
Souls, I can't. I have a harder time.
it. I mean,
Well, that's
there
why.
are comparisons to Souls, but like the same mechanics in Sekiro kind of apply to the same mechanics in your older Assassin's Creed games like Odyssey or
Odyssey's the newest one, isn't
uh
it?
well I'm talking about yeah I wasn't talking about the older ones. I'm talking about like Odyssey, Black Flag, um
Some of the more standouts in the series.
like the newer Assassin's Creeds like Odyssey, Black Flag. I haven't played Origins, so I can't really say much about Origins, but there is a grappling hook which is kind of comparable to Assassin's Creed Syndicate. So
Gotcha.
there's a lot of there's a lot of getting back towards Assassin's Creed Souls type with Sekiro. So
Gotcha. Is that what were you gonna say? Trying to adjust the volume on my mic.
Getting back to Mortal Shell, I think it was really close to a mix between like a Souls-like, sure, but it was really close to me. I don't know if you guys have heard of this game. It's called Senua's Sacrifice.
Right,
Um,
yeah.
that game, I think, would be a even better, not even Souls-like, but just better game to play than like Dark Souls.
I see.
That game's really good, and I think it's way more comparable to Mortal Shell. And besides the puzzle aspect, but I mean, there was a couple, but
I see.
that game was heavily based on the puzzles. But it's how short the story was, but how good it was.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
really
really
tight.
compact, but it's
Yeah,
so
it's a very
fucking good.
tight, polished experience. Third-person action
Yeah.
game. I can see that. Yeah, that's a fair comparison.
No, we're talking about Mortal Shell and trying to get people who have played similar type games into it. I'm curious as to how you might pitch it to someone like me who's more into first person and like driving games, things like that, rather than a third person, I guess more of an adventure and boss charge sort of game like that. That was a
So,
You ever
really
play
poor way of wording it,
Skyrim?
but yeah.
well, so here's how I would pitch it. Here's how I would pitch it to someone who is into first person and driving games. How do you feel about Doom and the way it makes you feel? And just like
I
the
felt
UX that goes into the Demon Slayer.
Yeah, personally, I felt like Doom 2016. I have not touched Eternal, and I honestly regret not playing it yet. But Doom 2016, I had a superb time with, as well as soundtrack solid. But everything about being the Doom Slayer made me feel like the Doom Slayer, and not someone holding a controller playing as the Doom Slayer. I wasn't LARPing as Doom Slayer. I was in a demon's face, ripping its jaw off and shoving its fucking mandible right through its gullet. Like
Right.
it felt tight, felt good. It was fun and engaging, and that's kind of why I tend to go towards first-person experiences and racing games because it's a lot of those quick-paced decisions as well as just a lot of things just going in your face
Yeah.
You're in it for
right
the
at the same
thrill.
time. Yeah, I'm in
Yeah.
it for the heroin. I mean the thrill.
Yeah.
Doom,
Mhm.
Doom,
So Mortal
Doom,
Shell.
Doom 2016 was really good.
Mortal Shell is one
Yeah.
of the most viscerally satisfying video games that I have played in a long time. It is. Its UX and the way that it makes you feel heavy and powerful. It's absolutely insane. The visual cues, the sound effects, it's all spot on and perfect. And that I think is its biggest selling point. And I don't think that that is limited to a Souls fan or a third person action adventure fan. It is just so satisfying to be this heavy knight and to pull off these incredible powerful moves.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Yeah, no. I was just like we were talking a lot about people who have already experienced games that you would say are fairly similar, or at least genres that would be more feeder genres. I felt it'd be prudent to try and explore even broader horizons.
Yeah. And there's a
Now
lot to
imagine
be
I'm just
said
a mom
about.
who plays Candy Crush.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of ways that games intersect. I was watching
Yeah.
this GDC talk on practical creativity, and there's a lot of like very basic systems that when you take them completely out of the context of a game, you realize that they could fit anywhere else and add a completely new experience to it. Like Gone Home, the game, is basically just
Okay.
a card game where you flip over cards and then read a story and put it together. Like you just flip over
Huh.
cards, read lore, and then like figure out the beginning and end. But because it's contextualized in a creative and engaging way, it creates like a really solid emotional experience. There's a lot of lessons that a completely different genre or completely different kind of game can take from racing games and the way that it makes you feel like you're going fast, like having the wind effects, and like the speed of the cars around you, and learning the tools of how do you make the player feel something and implementing that into a Souls-like or a first-person shooter or anything else. Speaking of making you feel a certain way, this week we also played Deep Rock Galactic, which is a game that makes you feel like a super space dwarf.
It's a great feeling. It's a crazy rush. Absolutely. The wobble effect is probably by far
Dude, I
the
fucking hate the
strongest
wobble.
effect. You can turn it on. You can turn it
I-
off actually.
I do like that you can
I
adjust it on a slider rather than turn it
love
off or on.
I
I love it.
Which is really
tried
nice.
to play it with you guys, but work.
Yeah, that'll happen. Work will happen.
It was
Work
a lot
would
of
be
fun.
happening.
I really enjoyed how we all had to somewhat cooperate, but
If that's what you want to call
you
what
still
happened.
felt yeah, you still felt independent enough to just run off and do your things, but you
No, we weren't
couldn't.
supposed to run off and do our own things.
Right,
That's why.
but
That's why shit
you
hit the fan.
were able to. The game didn't restrict you.
You're
I see what you're
supposed to.
saying. I see what you're saying. Yes, we are. You're not. There are not gameplay systems that will immediately and directly punish you for not working together. There are just a lot
Yeah.
of incentives to get you to work together. Like we
Well,
had randoms that would join, go off and do their own thing, and actually be a great help, all the way up until it turned out that that was the doom of the entire team. Was that we were all so scattered around.
right.
It's all about being smart and communication and being and considering each other's kits and what each other's strengths are. Like it took me a long time to get used to actively and constantly putting down my zip lines. But once I
Hmm.
got the hang of it, I felt like I was actually contributing quite a bit to the team, and I felt more like my decision to play the gunner was justified.
You could have been like Cordell and I, just and light each other on fire like there was no tomorrow.
We don't speak of ex-friends
So much
like that.
burning.
Dude, there
Oh,
was
yeah,
so
Friendship
much
ended.
burning. I think that was one of the downside is just how much friendly fire can affect you.
Right.
I
I do
mean,
want to bring up.
but it allows trolling, which in and of itself can be really fun, but it's also kind of a downside.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up like at the beginning, just like the one or two things that I had gripes with in the game, so that we can go back to just like freeform praise. Because there's a lot that we can sort of like talk about what we liked and give anecdotal evidence, but there's a couple things that I just didn't like as much. One of them was figuring out like the UI and like what is a promotion, how do I promote,
Yeah.
where is this KPI thing, where is this thing,
What is KPI?
right? All these
Yeah.
like at the home base, there's a lot of things where it's like, oh, you have to do this before you can progress this way, but it doesn't tell you exactly where it is. And
Yeah. It made you try and figure out stuff that you really shouldn't have been trying to figure out. You should have just basically known off the bat if it were a good enough system or
right, there wasn't quite enough new player
conveyed
onboarding.
correctly.
There wasn't quite as
Yeah.
much new player onboarding as I would have liked. And there's a couple of UX things that I wasn't a fan of, like when we were escorting the drill and like it would
That
start
was
to get
awful.
damaged. It took us a long time to figure out what that meant, how to repair it, because we didn't know exactly what was being damaged. It was just some indicator way off on the side of the screen. But those
Yeah.
moments, if you factor those into our total time playing the game, were like 2 to 5%. I would say that like 2 to 5% of this game I had a problem with. Other than that, I had a fantastic time. I love playing Gunner, and it was also cool that like I always felt like if we wanted to all try out a new class, we could probably just turn the difficulty down and be able to handle whatever mission type we were going to get into. Wasn't something that we ever came across, but I felt like we could do it, right? Like if I wanted to try out engineer, we could turn the difficulty
Right.
down, go to a mission type, and be able to, stumble our way through it.
Hmm.
I liked Gunner a whole lot. I like having big gun that doesn't have to reload; it just has to cool down. My revolver was awesome. Zipline's really cool. Though
Big
only
slow.
being able to go fast if you're going downhill did get on my nerves sometimes because it's really slow if you're trying to go up on a zipline. But at the same time, I get it because being on the zipline and off of the ground is really strong against enemies that, for the most part, don't shoot you.
Yeah, you could set up like a pretty elaborate system like you did a couple times there. You could
Yeah.
just stay off the ground.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're always moving fast, then you're just untouchable at that point because the webs are never going to hit you, the acid spitters are never going to hit you.
Hmm.
So I get it. It was just a little bit frustrating sometimes. I don't know, Crazy. How'd you feel about the driller?
I really enjoyed the driller. the my own. Well, it was nice to just get wherever I wanted to, and be an all-around support character because that's one of my favorite things. Is I always play support, and I felt like just being able to help you guys out, getting to like the oil crystals, for instance. I was able to make the
Oh yeah.
tunnels up there and provide an adequate pathway. But um, yeah, it was drill is really nice. I didn't like how much I was actually setting you guys on fire. That wasn't what I actually really wanted to do, but um, and really the biggest downside of the driller though, which I'm sure can be improved upon if I like focus more time into it and level it up, but the drills themselves would overheat extremely fast.
Hmm.
And so I had to constantly monitor it. I couldn't just go ham on my. It was like it would overheat in
See,
four to
that's
five seconds
interesting.
if I didn't pay attention to it.
Because my minigun would overheat, but it took a long time. Like I could use up probably a third to half of my ammo before my thing overheat. My thing would
Yeah.
overheat.
And there's even like a fuel level for the drills, so I can't just
Oh,
continuously go on. So I have to worry about it overheating and about fuel levels.
gotcha.
But I never really had an issue with the fuel levels, except for in the beginning missions when we were first starting out, because that was one of the things that I was able to address in the skill tree is the
Gotcha.
fuel limit. But yeah, driller, solid over around. But yeah,
Gotcha. Zabs, you tried out the scout and then pretty much
Whack.
immediately never played him again. You went to the engineer.
Whack.
You want to talk about that?
His utility weapon, he's got that little zip line thing, right?
Right.
It's the worst thing I've ever seen.
Right, his little grappling hook.
It'll take me where I want to get, right? But then I have to press the action button to grab the ledge. But if I
see.
just barely miss by like a margin and I'm not right up there, I can't get it. And so then I'm falling to my death constantly, constantly. And it's hard to aim because of how dark it is, so you can't really see what you're shooting your grappling hook at. It's tough all around. His gun's kind of weak sauce.
Oh, dude,
He's
that
got
totally
like a
reminds me
sawed-off
of something.
shotgun. That
I mean, keep going. I'll talk about it later.
he's got a sawed-off shotgun that it reloads every shot, shoots both shots
is
like a
it really
double barrel.
that bad?
It
Because
shoots
that's the
and
reason I wanted to try him out. Is because
no,
that
it
shotgun
shoots
seemed like
both
really
shots.
badass.
Shoots both shots. Like sure, it might be strong, but if you've got like a tiny little bug in front of you, and you ran out of ammo in your pea shooter, you're wasted ammo. You're shooting big boy shots at little bugs, and then you got
Gotcha. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. I didn't enjoy it. I switched to engineer, and I enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah, tell me about the
Um,
engineer.
he's got that sentry gun, which is like something like Evan's got, where he's got all the shit that he's got to deal with to have his item. I've got to place it right, and then wherever I place it, I have to recall it to me. And so if I don't recall it before like I walk away from that area, it'll take forever to come to where we have moved to.
Oh, I
Where
see.
the objective is moved to.
Right.
So then I'm waiting for it, and then you also I have to reload it, and reloading it takes my own ammo.
Yeah.
ew.
So it's yeah. So I'm constantly on the low with ammo, but the turret does kind of kick ass, so it's worth it. And then he's got that shotgun, and I was using those hologram grenades, which uh, I just don't like that they call it a grenade because it's not. It doesn't grenade. It only takes like 3 or 4 of them, and then it's like maxed out or something. Like it doesn't take anymore. Like it's bad. Um, but his shotgun's badass, and he's got that grenade launcher. And those things I can take tank damage off health bars with the grenade launcher.
Yeah, that grenade launcher looked nice.
It's fun. You get like 12 shots with it, and I upgraded it to like 24. So now I just lob grenades at any big boy.
Yeah. So the thing I was gonna say is that I noticed that when using the zip line, it only had so far that it could shoot, right? Like I had to look at a surface that was within range that I could shoot it to.
Oh yeah, it had like that vertical limitation.
Right. But if you aim it at like the floor of a ledge, that's not going to do you any good because then when the top of the zip line
Mm-hmm.
is going to be
It won't. Yeah.
at that ledge, and so you won't be able to jump up over it. Instead of you shooting and then like that's the bottom of the zip line and then it sticks out above it. So often you had to find like a wall that you could shoot it against or something else, and it was odd to like try to gauge where exactly like the sweet spot on a zip line was, and I imagine that is where the frustration came from with the grappling hook. Was that
Right.
very often the ledges that you can actually grab are floor ledges, and then you can't actually pull yourself up over them. So I get that. Um, let's see. We played a bunch of different mission types. All of them would say were enjoyable. Some of them took us a while to figure out. And we went to a bunch of different like planet types. But for the most part, we just fought the same spiders. Would you guys say that you at any point were starting to get tired of the spiders? Or do you think that they were able to hold up the game decently well?
I got really annoyed with the ankle biters, but other than that, the enemy variety type wasn't too big a deal for me. I mean, I felt fine just fighting them consistently because I'm used to games like Destiny, where it's just consistent enemy, not very much variety, as in like new things being thrown at me. But no, the ants really didn't do any. Yeah, the variety wasn't a big deal for me.
Gotcha. Sabs?
I wouldn't say it was a big deal for me, but I liked where it the boss fight. I had gotten to a point
Oh,
where
yeah.
because the variety was so bland that I get what you're saying, but I didn't really care for it either, but I liked how they ended up adding a boss, because I didn't know. I didn't even expect it.
Yeah. And I thought it was really cool that you could choose to fight both of them at the same time. And to giving context to anybody who
Thank you.
has
I
no
don't
idea
think
what
you
we're
did
talking
that.
about, I know we did that on accident. We got to a mission.
We, we,
We got to a mission
we.
that was a boss fight, and there were two eggs hidden on the map, and if you cracked them open, a boss would come out. And either you could do them one at a time, or two people who didn't know that they couldn't hear each other could accidentally open up both of the eggs at the same time,
Mm,
and then your entire
that's
team
what
has to
happened.
fight both of them in a crazy, chaotic fight, and then you all die. That is something that could happen. I like
Yeah.
that option because if you tune the difficulty and to where you want it to be, and then you come up, totally prepared, that could be a totally fun, awesome test of skill. Can we burn both of these bugs down at the same time? I could see that being a lot of fun if we put it on like Hazard 1 and we went in with like all gunners or something. That could be a lot of fun. And I like having that opportunity. It wasn't streamlined where it was like, all right, go to point A, fight boss, go to point B, fight boss, get out. There was always an amount of freedom to it. And like, how deep do you want to go? How much extra stuff do you want to get? And I
Yeah.
appreciated that. I have in my notes that it's sort of like Payday 2 for people who like roguelikes. Because the
Mm.
game definitely feels like a roguelike. Where you go in, the world's randomized, and you go do
Yeah.
the thing, get as far as you can, and then come back with all your Gucci's. Um, but it's formatted way more like Payday 2, where you got missions and upgrades and classes and stuff, and it's co-op and all that. Um, but I like the style of it. The style of it definitely feels like a roguelike.
It did feel a little Payday 2-ish. No, you said that.
And the soundtrack too.
Soundtrack was
Oh, that's
nice.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Bar music hype.
Yeah.
Dance moves though.
Jacob, would you be interested in playing that? It's crossplay.
It is
Which one is it?
crossplay. Deep Rock Galactic.
Dwarf.
Right. For some reason, the only name that came to mind was fucking Mortal Shell, so I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, Mortal Shell.
But
Deep Rock
that
Galactic honestly sounds pretty solid.
it's only
This-
crossplay
especially-
between Windows 10, PC, and Xbox, so you couldn't buy it on Steam.
I mean, I could
and
just
play with
download
us.
it on Xbox.
Yeah, you could do that too. It's just worth
Yeah, and
worth
since
noting.
Yummy's dead to us now, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
It's also not very
Love
big.
you.
It's only a couple of gigs,
Love
I
you,
think.
Yummy.
Dude, I just came back from being diagnosed
It's
with
like
ball
2.2.
cancer, and you're gonna hit me with that, bro? Come on.
Oh God.
All right, so yeah, I feel like that's
Boring, dog.
probably some
Sorry, that
good
wasn't the
quick
time.
thoughts on Deep Rock Galactic. Very positive feelings about it. It's got a couple of quirks to it that I wish were a little bit better, but for what it
I
is
love
and
every
for what
quirk
you
of that
get,
game.
it's pretty awesome.
I want to
I would
play
highly
it in
recommend it.
VR. It's the first time I played a game, and I've been like, VR this. This game I would play. That game I would actually fucking go out and buy a fucking Oculus Rift or whatever it's called. Whatever the cool kids are buying these days. I'd buy one. I'd fucking do it. I would if that game came to VR. Absolutely. That'd be so tight.
All right. Well, there you go. It's got Zabs's play this, give me in VR stamp of approval.
10 out of 10. Best game of 2020
All
so
right.
far.
We all know he really wants the VR for those weirdo fucking anime brothel games.
Anime brothel.
Speaking of 2020,
That was a weird segue.
I don't think I
No.
heard anyone say 2020 Diesel.
Zab just said it.
Oh, okay.
Did I?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Zab's
just said best game of
President-elect
I was
2020.
kidding.
Oh,
I
best
know,
game 2020. I see.
know.
I see.
I know.
What's up, Diesel?
I was just gonna say, I got a couple of things to talk about.
I also have a couple of things to talk about. Does it have to do with the next point that I'm about to bring up?
Probably.
All right. Well, speaking of the next point I'm about to bring up, we are coming close to the end of the year and very close to the end of this console generation. I think I brought that up at the beginning of the podcast. So, game of the year. For a lot of people, they thought it was going to be Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk may or may not ever come out. And I think the only big game that we have left for this year, other than that, is like Assassin's Creed. I don't know if anybody else.
When is When's Spider-Man
No,
supposed to come
that's
out?
Legion.
Oh
Never
wait,
mind.
no, that's next console generation.
Yeah, Miles Morales is the next console generation. I think the only current gen game that we have left is Assassin's Creed, which may or may not be out. I don't know.
I think it's Legion that's out.
Legion
Assassin's
is
Creed's
out,
still
yes.
coming.
So I want to start with everybody's game of the year, noteworthy games, indie games, games they were surprised by, games they were disappointed with. Just your thoughts on the games this year. Starting with Diesel, since you were so excited. Yay!
Oh, yay! So, I have a couple of things.
Uh-oh.
I've been
Is it Sekiro?
as I've been messing with Sekiro, and it's not like I haven't been I haven't been playing most of the games that have came out in this year. But thing of it is, I'm trying to get Sekiro done because that's my last Souls game other than Demon Souls to finish, and that's why I was really hoping to get to Crash 4 that came out this year.
Oh, yeah. Crash
But-
Bandicoot. It's about
Yeah.
time or something.
Yeah, I was really wanting to play that this year. I haven't gotten around to it, but I have speedrunned Crash 1, 2, and 3, and I probably have in between the original Crash 1, 2, and 3s, I've had probably I in between those three games I have over probably 2,000 hours in those three games alone. Um,
Shit.
I'm really looking forward to playing Crash Bandicoot 4 since it came out um, this year, but I can't give you a rating on it because I haven't played it yet. But I will say I do think Doom Eternal that came out this year was pretty decent. It wasn't as good as I thought it would be because I played the 2016 Doom and then I played Doom Eternal and it wasn't as good as the predecessor, but I still did really enjoy Doom Eternal. And the other game that me and Zab will kind of share probably um, was Call of Duty Warzone. That was fun whenever we did the multiplayer with um well, I'll let Zab talk about that, but if I had if I had to place a game of the year, it would probably be between Doom Eternal or Call of Duty Warzone. So.
Gotcha. And then I know that you and I both played Battletoads this year, and we
Oh
both
yeah,
had some fun with
that
that one,
was
but we didn't finish it.
yeah
So
yeah we didn't finish it, but Battletoads. I Whenever I first started playing Battletoads with you, Skinny, I didn't have high hopes for it, but it exceeded expectations. It was immaculate. It was so good. It reminded me of Cuphead, and it just was phenomenal. Battletoads was really freaking good.
nice. All right, let's move to Pro Masian, Mr. Masian, Mr. Boy.
Oh, I want to talk about disappointing games this year. Who else played Last of Us 2? Man, do you guys remember that fucking? Oh,
I remember
yeah,
hearing
no.
so much about it for like months. I
Oh
didn't
yeah,
play it
no.
though.
There was a ton of hate for it. There's a good amount of reason, but I'm gonna say this right now. I'm surprised how much I actually really enjoyed it, and I think it's a lot to do with the fact that it is a Last of Us game. The original Last of Us is one of my few games that I can say I will be playing in about 20 years' time. Obviously, I will not get the same amount of enjoyment as I did the first time I played through it, but the whole thing is the story with Ellie and Joel is really just a story of two people who kind of grow this father-daughter relationship that becomes very intimate, very close, and you can feel the emotion even though they're just two fucking three or 3D video game characters. It brings a genuine story out. Now, Last of Us 2, there's not really much of a genuine story. They try and pull on a lot of very generic plot threads, and for a standalone game, I think it would have been pretty good. It'd be a tale of two anti-heroes on differing sides of a really shitty situation where no one comes out the moral high ground, the victor. No one comes out as the better person. But as a Last of Us sequel, it just totally drops short of all expectation. Ellie and Abby are both very unlikable, and neither of them come out on top in the situation. Abby maybe comes out on top purely because she saves a child, and that's kind of how we're left to determine, what she does with the rest of her life is saving this one child who was kind of forced into a cult. But you don't get much more out of Abby. Everything else she does is questionable at best and super shitty at most. Um, and yeah, Ellie's kind of following the same thing. She was kind of set up to be this morally ambiguous potential high ground character who just kind of turns into a bit of a shitbag. Threatens to kill a child while the child is asleep, and goes on a vengeance quest, and that's her entire part of the game is to be on this big quest for revenge that doesn't really pan out too well. It's a confusing mess of a game, and I think they were trying to step away from what they had previously established with the first game by, going the complete opposite direction, and that doesn't really work out all that well, especially when your initial game is based on the intimate relationship between two characters who happen to be in a zombie apocalypse. Just
Yeah,
it's a confusing mess. That's all the Last of Us 2 was.
gotcha. I have some thoughts that I'm gonna say on Last of Us 2. Could you reset your mic real quick, and I'll fill the silence with them before you move on to your next game? Thank you. Yeah. So The Last of Us 2, I've only heard about. I've watched some really long, in-depth critiques on them. I've watched some brief stuff on it, and I think that a lot of the shortcomings of the game has to do with not the narrative itself, maybe as much as it is that it tries to be a video game. Nikki Jakey has a really good video called something to the tune of.
Is that working better?
It sounds like it might be.
Okay.
Naughty Dog, or not Naughty Dog. Nikki Jakey has a really good video on The Last of Us Part 2 called something to the tune of Naughty Dog's game design is outdated.
Yeah, where he speaks about them, basically dictating all of your actions in order to do certain things instead of letting you play the video game like a video game and choose differing actions. Trying to
Right.
direct it more as a movie with a extraordinarily linear narrative rather than going with something with at least a mild amount of flexibility. That's just an issue that I saw in a lot of games from last year and this previous year, so 2019, 2020 game years, especially with I'll bring it up next, but especially with Modern Warfare 2019, at least in its narrative.
Mm,
But yeah, we're still on The Last of Us 2, so let's go with The Last of Us 2.
yeah. I don't know. I definitely need to get around to playing both of the Last of Us games. There's a lot of PlayStation exclusives that I want to play, but I just hadn't because I didn't have access to them. The Last of Us games are
Right.
definitely on that list, along with Horizon Zero Dawn. I did play God of War, but there's one or two others that I need to get around to.
I will let you know right now. Horizon Zero Dawn is an extraordinarily interesting concept, being that it's a. I mean, I assume its entire like setting, or at least the idea behind its setting.
Yeah,
Yeah, where it's ancient Vikings mixed with robot dinosaurs
yeah,
after the fall of humanity. It's a very interesting concept, and I'm really glad that they did a pretty good job of it. As someone who doesn't typically play those types of games, I'm not going to speak highly of it as someone else who might be more familiar with it. But as someone who doesn't play those types of games, I still enjoyed my time with it. It was a pretty solid game. I've definitely gone back and tried playing it on harder difficulties and enjoyed that, but I haven't gotten myself to finish it for a second time. But yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn, really solid. The first Last of Us game, playing it now, you're unfortunately missing out on one of the really good parts of it being the multiplayer, purely because
mm,
it's fairly dead at this point. But it had a really nice, elaborate multiplayer that I have yet to find anything very similar in other games. Granted, I have not sought it out, so that's not a very fair statement. Yeah, both of the Last of Us games pretty interesting in their own rights. First one's really good, especially with the extended DLC that really dives back into Ellie's backstory prior to the events of the main game. And yeah, second one I feel like could use something, but I don't know what that is, and I'm not about to try and figure it out.
Gotcha. Okay, and then you mentioned that you had some qualms with the way the Modern Warfare campaign was remastered, or the not remastered, but the way it was
The
handled,
the
or where there was
soft
some
reboot basically.
right. Um, but what would you say is like your top game of the year?
Well, top game of the year. So are you restricting it to games released within this 2020 season, or are you just kind of like any games that you played for the first time this year? Because that would
A
change my
game.
answer.
Give me both. Go ahead and give me both.
Okay. So my favorite game of 2020 uh, would be. It's technically considered a separate game because of the expansion and the way it works. But like Diesel had brought up Warzone.
Right.
I've honestly just had a ton of fun with. Obviously, not from a narrative standpoint because there is no narrative. It's Warzone.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
don't know. I've just enjoyed my time
Yeah.
playing that game mode. Made a lot of really just good one-off memories that I can reference with a lot of the friends I end up playing with, and it's just yeah. I've just enjoyed it way more than I have a lot of other multiplayer experiences this year. And I think it's because Call of Duty has really been able to kind of nail down that niche. Now, my favorite game that of this year that isn't of this year would be Doom 29 or 2016, which is why I need to get into Doom Eternal because I've played it and 100%ed it for the first time this year, earlier in the year, and I legitimately would go through and do that again. I would delete my save file and completely replay Doom 2016 from start to finish. Um, because, like I was saying earlier, it's superb. It's just one of my favorite games. It's you can turn your brain off and just like run around and shoot things, commit acts of violence so vile that you just kind of don't even think about it anymore. It's so stupid, but it's so much fun. It's so clean and so masterful in what it strives to do, which is to shoot the shit out of aliens with big guns. It's a fantastic game. I love every bit
And
of
don't
it.
forget the big men.
Big
Oh, you're
man.
right. Shoot the big wet men.
No, you happen to be
You do
the
happen
big
to be a
men.
big man, but like you are shooting
Men is
at big wet
big.
men too. Men
Hey,
is
really,
indeed big.
men.
Bro,
They
why do men
some
need big out here?
monsters doobies.
Skinny.
Yes.
So, since Formation got
Oh, you
to
want an
get
extra answer
the,
now? You want an extra answer now?
I want an extra answer
All
now.
right. Well, hold on.
Alright,
Do
Think
it.
since he's
about it
taking an
really
extra
Lay it
hard.
on him.
answer,
Wait,
I
wait,
gotta
wait,
go
wait,
to
wait,
the
wait, wait,
bathroom.
wait. Okay. So Crazy's up next. Crazy's gonna give his answers, and then we're gonna circle back around and get Diesel's extra answer out of him before we get into the next question. Zab, you can go to the bathroom while Evan is giving his top games of the year. Evan, you are welcome to answer any question that anybody else answered or your own questions. I just want to hear the top one, and anything other than that is fluff. It's all bonus points. So top
Do I
game,
get a
and
cookie
then any other
afterwards?
noteworthy games. Yes, you get one cookie.
Is
I
it a
don't
peanut butter
So can I
cookie?
leave now?
Yes, go.
Yeah, you can leave.
And I'm gonna put on
Can
some
I
background
leave
music.
now?
All right. I don't necessarily have a game of the year because I haven't played much or many new games this year because it's been relatively dry in terms of new releases of what I really want to touch and that we're so close to a new generation of consoles. But um there are some games that I did really enjoy. For instance, Minecraft Dungeons. That one was a lot of fun because I think it's a nice pathway to get into the what is it, dungeon crawler genre?
ARPGs
What is
is
it called?
the genre, but yeah, like
ARPG?
the dungeon
Oh,
crawling
yeah. But
RPGs.
that
Yeah.
was, I think it was really good, and it's a nice pathway to get into it because it's not cutthroat. It's very forgiving, and just you can sit back and enjoy and have fun. And you can also play with some friends, which I haven't been able to really try out, but that was one of the things that you and I were gonna do, Aaron.
Yeah. One of
But
the streams coming up soon will be Minecraft Dungeons with Crazy.
but yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I definitely one of my highlighted games of the year. That and golf with your friends, because
Golf with
I
Your Friends
mean,
is awesome, and they did come out this year
fucking with
as a
Diesel
full release on console.
is a lot of
Golf
fun.
with your friends is amazing.
Making sure that he is last every time is always something that
I
is,
love being last on that game.
Is there a
yeah.
specific game that Minecraft Dungeons has made you want to try out, or has made you excited for being released in the future, like on the next
I actually
generation?
kind of really want to try Binding of Isaac
Oh,
because
okay.
of Minecraft Dungeons. And I mean, there was this one like dungeon crawler game at PAX that I've tried out and I still haven't been able to track down.
Mm,
But I just want to get more into that kind of game because I really enjoyed Minecraft Dungeons.
gotcha. Well, very cool. Any other noteworthy games you want to bring up before I give the floor back to Diesel?
Uh, no, not really. Other than my most anticipated game is Cyberpunk, but
Very
that's really it.
respectable. Very respectable. All right, Diesel. What is your top game that you played in 2020 but that was not released in 2020?
So I can't nail it down to one game. I'm gonna nail it down to two games. Um, and again, they are neck and neck for me. At first, one of these games did not seem like I would get so in love with this game, but the two games that I can't decide between is, and again, one of them is PS4 exclusive, which is Bloodborne, and the other one that is, I'm pretty sure is on Xbox and PS4 as well, is Sekiro. I can't decide between the two. They're just so rewarding, so penalizing if you don't get the mechanics down right away, and they help you be a better gamer. Honestly, I
Hmm.
mean, Sekiro and Bloodborne, I love the boss design. I love how the world looks like in the background, like the accents and stuff. It just I Sekiro and Bloodborne non 2020, those are my two game of the years.
Nice.
Very cool. Zabs, are you back?
Hey, if he's not back, can I amend my game of the year?
Oh no, I don't like where this is going. But
Oh
sure, go for
no.
it.
My game is not of this year. It's not even of this. I can't do words. It's not of this Wow, dude. Wow. Okay, you know what?
You've lost your privileges. You may not amend your game of the year. I
Nope, I'm
revoke it.
doing it anyways. You can't. You
He
can't revoke
revoked
it.
it.
Diplomatic immunity. No, dude. My game of the year isn't even of this like century. It's from 1978,
Oh boy.
called
Oh
Dungeons
lord.
and Dragons.
Huh.
Best game of the year. My favorite.
You know what? Fair enough. Actually, for a completely separate endeavor. I downloaded Shadowrun and I'm messing around with the Shadowrun
Sounds like
editor.
Satisfac.
It
Thank you.
does.
I'm back.
Hey, welcome back. So I'm interested to see how the Shadowrun sandbox compares to D&D. But anyways, Zabs, Game of the Year and other noteworthy titles for 2020. What are your thoughts?
Game that stood out to me was Hellpoint.
Hellpoint was fun.
It's a Souls
well,
like
it was
cyberpunk.
cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Please,
Wasn't
please,
good at all.
Please talk
very-
about our clip.
It's very bad. Call of Duty was pretty cool. But it was only cool when I was like playing with people who didn't care. You know what I mean? When you play Call of Duty with people who are like, "Oh my KD," you know, you're not gonna have fun. You won't. I'll say like, "Where's my team?" though, because my team is sometimes fucking idiots.
You can pretty
speaking
much
of idiots,
guarantee that your team
So
won't be with
Diesel's
you.
got yeah. Diesel's got a clip, or I've got a clip of Diesel, and we're doing they had like this infected game mode, but it was like on the big.
Well, that wasn't even in Warzone, was it? That was for Ground War.
Ground War, yeah.
It was infected ground war.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that came out in
There was
2019.
infected ground
I
So
got it.
actually,
There
you're
was
not allowed to
infected
talk
Warzone
about it.
as well.
I thought it was a noteworthy title though. Motherfuckers were talking about 2016 games.
Fair enough. Go for
I
it.
can't have my fucking.
I'm just busting your
Modern-
balls.
talking about it no
I'm just
more.
busting
You
your balls.
busted them.
Modern Warfare came out in 2019, but Warzone came out as a technical separate entity in 2020. Since you can download just Warzone and play only the Warzone game type, instead of downloading all of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. and
Okay,
having
wait.
multiplayer,
Sidebar.
campaign, Spec Ops,
I
and
don't
Warzone.
think you, unless it would happen very recently, I don't think you could only install Warzone. I'm pretty sure you had to install all of the
Not-
gigabytes of Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
You could, but you would have basically a lack of access to that. So you would then it recommends you just delete them from your fucking hard drive because you can't use them anyways.
Right, but can you do that on an Xbox?
Maybe not on Xbox, but it's a thing for PS4 and PC
Oh,
as
okay.
far as
I would
I've
assume that it's
seen.
on Xbox.
Granted, I could be talking out of my ass because I had the game pre-ordered before and then I
Right.
downloaded it like 2 nights before it was actually able to be played. Also, my game's from 1974, not 78, so
Fair enough. All right,
I was right into the mic. My bad.
Zabuza. Continue.
Who?
Zabs.
They just threw some deep lore out there. Yeah, Hellpoint was cool. Wasn't fun. Was cool.
Hellpoint was cool.
It felt a lot like Dark Souls 1, not remastered. But the mechanics all janky and shit. But I think that's why I was able to play it, was because of how bad it was. And I happen to have a knack at being good at very bad video games.
I can't get on the quad.
Diesel is very caught up on the clip from Infected Ground War.
I've noticed.
Yes. So
But I got told no. I'm sorry, Diesel. You gotta yell at this guy.
maybe I'll post the clip on my Twitch channel or my YouTube or something.
You don't even have the clip.
I'm sure I can find it. So yeah, I also played some Hellpoint. It's a Souls-like, but it's sort of like a deep lost space sci-fi cosmic horror twist on I would say Demon Souls. It's a very
Yeah.
janky, rough
That's fine.
cut of the game. It's very cool. Very interesting.
Yeah, everything's really pretty to look at.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
It's very Souls-like fashion. It's got tough combat. It's got an emphasis on like dodging and weapon upgrades and bosses. You know, all this stuff that we talked about with Mortal Shell. Except it's the opposite in terms of polish. It is very wide, not very deep, not very polished. And Mortal Shell, I would say, is very tight, very focused and very deep. So
Phrasing.
yeah, phrasing, very very tight, very deep. You know. So yeah, let's see. What games did I play? D&D is better than Hellpoint.
The fuck?
Thanks.
Who
Thanks,
said
Promation.
that?
In the chat, Promation said that in
My
the
bad.
chat.
That's funny.
I don't know what you mean, my bad. You said it, man. You said it. I see it. I got
Sherry's on
evidence.
blast.
Oh no, I said the fuck out of nowhere. I'm just because I'm high key playing Halo Reach in the background while
Ah, I
listening
see.
to everything you guys are saying.
Gotcha.
I was trying to do the what is the ODS? Not the ODST achievement, but the jump from the cliff, land on the elite thing.
Oh, they came from behind? No. No, no, no. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you
But
have to jump really high,
I'm like
assassinate
trying to
an
do
elite.
that right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, assassinate an elite to save yourself from a height that would have killed you or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh,
Accidentally
yeah.
assassinated a grunt, even though I was
That will
nowhere near a
happen.
grunt.
Yeah. Let's see. So, I played a few games this year because I
Really?
started doing that. Yeah.
You,
So,
Twitch streamer GPP Skinny, played games?
I did. Let's see. What 2020
Don't
games did
believe
I
it.
play this year? I played Ori and the Will of the Wisps,
Fraud.
which is like so incredible. The first Ori game, beautiful, so lovely, such a pretty game. And like the world design and combat were like cool, and they were okay. But then when the second game came out, it took a lot of inspiration from Hollow Knight when it came to uh, combat and progression, and the game is so much better for it. Ori and the Will of the Wisps, phenomenal, top tier game, definitely my top 3 of the year, maybe number 1. Florence is a mobile game that came out this year that takes like a half hour to play through, and it's also just a really solid story, and the gameplay works really well with the narrative. I can't explain it other than just they do such a good job of making you feel the story through your actions with your phone. Done very well. Let's see. I played Doom Eternal, similar to Diesel. I would say it was good, but after, you know, how incredible of an experience 2016 was and how much it blew me away with what an FPS could look like in current gen, I would say Doom Eternal was, is for the most part more of the same, except I had less ammo and had a Marauder to deal with, and fuck the Marauder. So, Doom
Yeah.
Eternal, very cool. Wouldn't put it in my top games, though. Same with Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3 was cool. I liked playing Zane,
Eh.
but Zane was definitely the weakest character at launch. It was alright. It was nowhere near Borderlands 2, but I mean, I would still call it better than the pre-sequel. So, solid
It's
enough.
another game that's on my disappointment list.
Yeah, Warzone was fun. Played that with the boys, but I don't know, battle royales, are sort of games I hop on and off of. Oh, speaking of battle royales, they came out in 2020.
Hyperscape.
We did play a little bit of Hyperscape, which I enjoyed. I think I might enjoy that more than Warzone. I think it's just more my speed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised with Hyperscape, and I think that it's a good twist on Battle Royale. It's free to play, so you can pick it up. Same with Spellbreak. There are, right now is a time for you where you can just go out and find the Battle Royale that's right for you. There's a twist in almost every single way. There's Fall Guys, there's Spellbreak, Hyperscape, Warzone, Apex, Fortnite, whatever. Let's see. What came out this year? Battletoads is a lot of fun. Not gonna lie, Battletoads
is a
so
lot
much fun.
of fucking fun.
But I think my top game of the year might still be Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It's just so beautiful. I listen to this. My soundtrack is still in my regularly played songs. It's immaculate. All right, now, end of the generation. Xbox One is behind us. Xbox Series X is ahead of us. Or if you're a PlayStation person, I'm sure there's other
PS5.
ones. Yeah, that's what it's called. PS5. It's coming up. Demon Souls remake and Miles Morales, all those next gen games, very exciting. So what would you guys consider to be your favorite game that you played on the current generation? And then what would you say was the genre, or not the genre, the generation defining game for you? Like, I would say the generation defining game for the 360 era was probably Skyrim. Like, just off the top of my head, that would be the game that I associate with the 7th generation of consoles. Xbox 360, PS3, I associate that with Skyrim pretty much. What is
Dude, it's
that
the
game
same thing,
for?
but with like Nintendo Switch and PS4 and Xbox One and PC and Apple and
Yeah,
dude, it's on fucking everything.
it is on everything. Oh, and that's also worth noting is that the Nintendo Switch is part of this generation. So if your game of the generation happens to be the current Super Smash Bros. Or Breath of the Wild, that is totally valid. Let's start with Diesel. What is your favorite game of the generation and your generation-defining game?
So, I would say my favorite game of the generation would be Dark Souls 3.
Very fair. We played a lot of Dark Souls 3.
Yeah. In terms, what's the second category again?
What is your like quintessential generation-defining game of the Xbox One or PS4 era? What would you say was the biggest game of the past 7 years? Not necessarily your favorite, but the one that was the most impactful, that you think had the most effect on gaming.
I know probably nobody's going to agree with me on this,
That's okay.
but Crash Bandicoot: The Insane Trilogy.
Interesting. That was okay.
It just it did everything right in terms of how the remake just did everything right and helped basically pave the way for how the game was supposed to be played because of how talking to somebody that has played over 2,000 hours in those games alone, it just it was immaculate. The remastered was really, really good.
Gotcha. And that's not, how do I say this? This generation had a lot of remasters and remakes. So I mean, we could
Also, a lot of
totally
soft
have
reboots.
yeah, and a lot of soft reboots. We could totally have a category for just what was the best redo or remake or redux or remake, shabagle, reshabangle of the generation. And
Yeah.
so that, I mean, that's totally valid.
I'm just saying, I don't think that the reason why I put that there is because I don't think that there has been a better remastered versions of games than the Crash Bandicoot series. I might be biased, and people might hate me for it, but that's my personal opinion.
Well, don't worry, Diesel. Only I hate you for it. All right, from Asian.
You can't.
Actually,
You can't just say that. Only I.
No, Diesel. Your time's
Shut
up.
the heck up, guy.
Diesel, he has the talking piece.
Talking
nah,
stick.
these lay
He
into
has
him
the
all. It's
talking
cool.
stick.
They lay into him. No. Honestly, piggybacking off of what Diesel was saying about having, kind of one of the best, if not the best remake of the year or of the generation, I'm gonna throw fucking The Last of Us remaster in there, dude. Obviously, I've already expressed how much I love the first Last of Us game, but the first time I experienced it was through its remaster, and if its
Mm.
remaster, can make me, that energetic and, just fall in love with this whole scenario, isn't that exactly what you wanted to do?
Yeah.
Granted, it released a year after the original game came out, but I mean, still. Um, yeah, going off of my personal favorite game of this generation, I've dipped my hands into both sides of the generation. I'm currently playing on Xbox One, but my main console is a PS4. I would honestly have to say it'd be a toss-up between Rainbow Six Siege and the Master Chief Collection for me.
Mm.
Rainbow Six Siege, I played the alpha, I played the beta, I was invested in its creation because when I first started playing on PS4 back in 2015, it was becoming more of a relevant game. It was putting out its public betas, public alphas. I was getting a couple of my friends from school involved. We had just all kind of split off into different schools, moving to different cities, doing all that stuff, starting out high school, doing all that fun, all that jazz basically. And yeah, it was just a really good game that brought me and a couple of my friends together, and it introduced me to a lot of people that I have now known for about 5 years, and I still consider really good friends. And then the Master Chief Collection, it's the Master Chief Collection. It's all of the Halos that I give a shit about, and Halo 4. It's just
That's
a
funny.
quintessential setup of games.
Yeah.
The Xbox One is a Halo machine for me personally because a lot of the games that I would want to invest time into, I've already done so on PS4. But even if it wasn't a Halo, or even if that is the case, I still really love logging onto my Xbox One and playing some fucking Halo because it's just that much of a timeless game for me. It reaches back to when I was a 6-year-old kid. And my dad was just like, "Hey, you want to try this game out real quick?" And we just play Halo for like hours. It's got a lot of good nostalgia for me, so I love being able to have access to all of them as it goes on. Now, for a generation-defining game, I would dare to throw two more in there as well, being GTA 5 and Star Wars Battlefront 2. Because if
Oh
you
my
guys
goodness.
remember the drama around Star Wars Battlefront 2,
Okay,
it
if you're talking about
definitely
the
set.
drama, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
PS2 guy.
I see what
No,
you're
no, no,
saying.
no, no.
No,
It's
the
The
one
new
the
one.
guy,
reboot
dude.
from EA
Oh,
from
gotcha.
what, 2018?
Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever
or
it was.
2017, I think.
I can
It
check.
was
But
bad.
yeah,
It was bad at first.
GTA 5 came out in 2013 and it's still releasing content, still chugging strong.
Mm-hmm.
It's been around for the amount of time this generation has gone on, and it's going to continue to be around even past this generation because they're planning on integrating it into Xbox One X and all of that. So,
Series X.
series, yeah, you're right. But yeah, it's it's going to persist and it will supersede the generation it was released on, even though it was released on the beginning of the generation. I think I mean, it's
Well,
a
it was
product
released on
of.
360. GTA 5
It was
was
released on
released on,
360.
yep, on the 7th generation.
Yep, it was
Yeah,
released on 360, moved into Xbox One and PS4, and really that's where it created its home because it's been here for
Yeah.
7 years. It's just it's impressive and it's also kind of terrifying because that shows where the market's going. And then when I bring up Battlefront 2, that's because they started out with a business model of, yeah, you can play the game for 200 hours and get one character, or you could just spend like $20 and you're giving us extra money for a gameplay feature that probably should have been involved or integrated in the first place rather than having to pay for it. Also, the star cards, which modify your character to a point where you can be overpowered as shit, while this kid who doesn't have $20 to blow on imaginary loot boxes, um, you know, just has to kind of sit there and be a shitter for 500 hours.
Yeah.
It's a very scary showing of where the industry was headed and the fact that they got immediately shit on after the game came out, I think helped with dissuading a lot of other companies from trying to follow suit.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think in both of those regards, they're extraordinarily significant games for the console genre, or I keep wanting to say genre, the console
Yeah, me too.
generation.
I totally
GTA
agree.
GTA 5, I think, will always be a memorable
Mm-hmm.
like game for anybody that has ever played it.
Yeah, I think just touching the game honestly imbues you with this magical ability to never forget about it.
Yeah, not only that, is it became one of the highest grossing video games of all time.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
it
just
hit the milestone.
it's too big is the thing.
Yeah.
It's like you can't really avoid it.
It was it's
Yeah.
the quintessential sandbox game of this generation. I
Yeah.
think that you
Yes.
pretty much hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, crazy. Top
Carries
game,
on, though.
quintessential game.
Well, I mean, it's not my favorite, but Fortnite,
Oh
for
yeah,
obvious reasons, it took the world
Yeah.
by storm. But prior to Fortnite, I would have said PUBG because that really like arguably got the battle royale genre big because that's the one that blew up before it, and then everybody moved
Yeah.
on to Fortnite, kind of.
yeah.
Yeah.
PUBG made it more like, I don't know. It was big, it blew up, it made everybody more aware of the battle royale, and then Fortnite kind of honed that battle royale in.
Yeah, it was
Um,
the one that inspired.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say the one thing was that I'm not a big, anybody in this party can tell you I'm not a big battle royale fan, but I did play the shit out of PUBG,
Warzone.
and that's what
Yeah.
In Warzone, yeah.
that's what pretty much sparked like the big battle royale thing. So
Yeah. I mean, it even inspired like Call of Duty to jump on board with Blackout.
Yeah.
Starting with Blackout and then moving on to
And then
Warzone.
later
Like, Blackout
Warzone.
was a lot of fun, yeah. But beside PUBG and Fortnite, I would say Overwatch because that was also like kind of the start of like the arena hero shooters.
Mm,
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
At least on
that made-
console, as well as
Yeah, that really like
the massive
blew
amount
up.
of porn that now exists of it.
Hey man, Rule 34 has been around for a long time.
Heroes
I'm not
never
saying it's
die.
Rule 34th
Tracer
though.
kind of quirky though.
Heroes.
No.
Dude,
Guys, crazy as the talking
Uh,
stick. Guys, crazy as the talking stick, please.
But we're talking about ass.
No, please.
fucking
Tracer
ass.
guys are kinda quirky.
Evan, just tell me what your
but yeah.
favorite game is.
Of the generation?
Yes, of the generation.
Oh,
For context, it started when Call of Duty Ghosts came out.
you.
It's so weird to think about too.
Oh God.
Nobody
I
said
love that
Warframe
game.
The
yet.
generation. Shot in the Dark, I would say Outer Wilds.
Wow, it's just so good. Oh, it's so good. Oh.
Nobody said
I definitely
Warframe
need to play
yet.
that game.
Loser.
Yeah,
All
Outer
right.
Wilds.
Zabs. Top game, quintessential game. I'm so glad that somebody said Outer Wilds. Oh, it's such a good game.
Quintessential.
Generation
Um,
definer.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, are we talking just exclusively Xbox?
No, it doesn't have to be exclusively Xbox. It could
Just a
be. It
game
could
that you
even be
think
PC exclusive. Just something that, in the last 7 years, changed gaming.
And then your opinion on what your favorite game is.
I don't know if anything's really been too like fucking hot. I might be a little pessimistic. I feel like everything's kind of sucked.
Interesting.
A lot of games have let me down. Like PUBG
Yeah.
was fucking bad.
That's actually interesting. Yeah, this entire generation is
Like
kind of
GTA
shown
5,
of
like-
letdowns.
Grand Theft Auto was like just Grand Theft Auto. Like whatever. They're not gonna make a new one. Like it's fine. We don't blame you. No one gives a fuck. The people who play that game are fucking weird anyway. They do grind. People who
Damn.
grind up and then shit and like get all fucking big
Damn.
bad and they're got these fucking like multi-million-dollar drug corporations. Like why didn't you do that in real
All
life?
right, Mr.
You
Edgelord.
dumbass.
Give me my friend back.
What do you mean?
He's coming down. Quick, puff another one.
I know this man needs some sunshine. This man been inside too long.
We started at 10 p.m. There's no sunshine.
Uh, my bad.
Shit.
All right.
I
Well,
don't even.
all right. So that's fair. What do you think was the biggest disappointment of the generation? There were a lot. There was No Man's Sky. There
Oh,
was
I was
Star
just
Wars
about to say
Battlefront
that.
2. There
Oh
was
my.
I was
Oh
about to say
my.
No Man's
Anthem.
Sky.
There's
A
so
lot of
much.
people would say Sword and Shield and stuff like that.
Yeah. The Pokemon, yeah. I don't. That's what I mean. Like, I just feel like it just might be like the 2020 blues or something, but like the most quintessential. Like, I don't know what game could even. I mean, like other like something that's been said. You know what I mean?
Well, sure.
I couldn't imagine saying anything else other than Fortnite.
I can tell
but
you
I hate
right
that.
now what the
I mean,
biggest disappointment
So you've
for
already
Sam
had the
was.
talking stick.
Division.
For
Division 1 or Division 2?
both of them, those games are fucking trash.
You're just mad that you got hit by a that you got killed by
Yeah,
a
dude.
fucking baseball bat.
Yeah, I'm not just saying this because I'm a pessimist, dude. I'm in the tutorial, son. The
You got your ass beat
tutorial
by a
of that
baseball
game.
bat while you're in the tutorial?
In the tutorial, this man,
Yeah.
I shoot him in the face probably 30 times. I doink him with bullets. I know I do. I even have a clip of his over. I'm doinking him. He's going
This-
down. It's over.
This
for him.
man unloads an
He
entire
runs
clip.
right at me. Just runs right at me and just hits me in the head with a baseball bat one time. One time after I shot him with a
An
clip,
entire fucking clip.
a magazine.
Nice.
If you fucking would.
Nice.
No, it's not nice. The game was bad.
That's exactly how that game goes. It's fucking fantastic.
It's bad. It's
Ah,
bad
fuck.
game.
Shoots
game's bad.
shoots an enemy with an entire clip, doesn't kill the enemy, enemy one shots him with a fucking baseball bat.
Whack, dude.
All
Never
right.
touched it
Whack
again.
indeed.
Uninstalled it right there. Diesel was so excited he wanted me to play it and shit. Never went.
All right. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
On
enough.
the other note, Division 2 is fantastic.
That's enough
Especially
of the
if you have a
negativity.
crackhead tank driver.
Titanfall 2 is
buddy.
underrated.
Titanfall 2
Dude,
is super underrated,
Titanfall.
dude.
Love Titanfall.
I'm really disappointed that
Titanfall
that game
itself.
died off so hard. It's still being played, but it's not being played as much as it should be.
Underrated.
Often hated.
Something something Eminem lyric.
Sad.
No.
Something
So-
something dark side.
So Zabs,
Some
what is your
some
favorite
some
game
spaghetti.
of the console generation? What is the game
Favorite game.
that you find yourself coming back to and playing the most, or that you just enjoy the most?
Knack 2.
Fallout 4 was really fucking good, in my opinion.
Yo.
I really enjoyed it.
I did
My
too.
first playthrough with it was fucking amazing. It was a good
Fuck
game.
yeah, bro.
I mean,
Fallout 4 was
76.
really fucking
We
good.
don't to
Zab,
talk
I have a
about that.
question. Have you
Fallout 4 was
played
great.
have you played another Fallout game besides Fallout 4 though? Did,
Yeah, I
did you play
played
one
New
prior or
Vegas.
just Fallout?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I
sweet.
played New Vegas. I played Fallout 3.
Okay, because I
Uh,
really enjoyed playing Fallout 4 as well.
Did you play
but
76?
I figured I did play 76 and I was massively disappointed. But
76 is trash.
I really enjoyed Fallout
Didn't
4
play
as well. I was just wondering if it was just because I'm not familiar with Fallout, or if someone like who's also played a Fallout game, or who has played a Fallout game before would understand.
No, yeah, I've always liked the series, so I guess that's hard for me. But I also played Oblivion and Skyrim. That was my shit. I loved Oblivion.
So Bethesda.
The Fallout games are really fucking good, but Fallout 76 is fucking trash.
New Vegas was fucking fantastic.
Fallout 76 started falling into the same issue that um, Battlefront 2 was starting to strive towards, and that's just monetizing their entire perk system, making it so There's no PvP. There's no real PvP aspect to it, but just kind of making it so one player can be extraordinarily strong because they're willing to blow $150 on, random fun packs instead of this one guy who just wants to play the fucking game he bought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the servers were garbage and plenty of other issues, but
All right.
I don't
So
know.
Skinny's got answers to his own questions. Imagine that.
Gross. Dude, nobody came here to listen to you speak, alright?
Oh, okay.
But say it anyways, you were gonna say it.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that Fortnite and PUBG being up there with some of the most impactful games of the generation is spot on. Absolutely. In combination with probably Overwatch and Destiny. I would say that Destiny inspiring so many live service
Destiny 2 is
franchises.
trash.
Well, I mean, regardless of
Are you
your
talking about
opinions,
Destiny 1 or Destiny 2?
Diesel, I
Yes,
will
just
tell
on my
you.
peanut.
I will tell you, Diesel. Just you listen. I have the talking stick, Diesel. All right.
Miss
So
Avery gave me the talking stick.
yeah, Miss Avery gave me the talking stick, Diesel. Come on. Destiny as a live service franchise, just Destiny the IP, setting out to just have 10 years of updates and expansions and monetize off of that, and then they had their microtransaction store with like cosmetics and emotes. I would say was part of one of the three monumental shifts in gaming. One of them being the hero shooter, one of them being the battle royale battle pass craze, and then the live service. And I think that
Platformers.
Destiny was one of the most influential games in bringing live service to the forefront of gaming. And then what would be my top game of the generation? Outer Wilds is incredible. I loved Ori and Hollow Knight, and I like, how do I say this? Each of them felt like two halves of a whole, and then after Will of the Wisps came out, it feels like both of them like banged and had a good baby. Like it's so good. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is perfect, and I love it so much. I think like because I didn't play the Resident Evil 2 and Final Fantasy 7 remakes. The main remake that I played this generation was the Halo 2 remake, which I actually thought they did a really solid job with. I love the campaign reskin. Music is good. Weapon sounds. I mean, I just really enjoyed the Halo 2 remaster for the Master Chief Collection. And it launched terrible. Launch day,
Yeah.
Master Chief Collection, terrible. But it's
Come back
been
at the century,
updated.
though.
It's been updated ever since, and I admire that. Top game of the generation,
Anthem.
not Anthem, although
There's disappointment.
it might be Destiny 1.
I mean, Sky, they did a good job at making a comeback.
It might be Destiny 1. I love a lot of what they did with the world building. And I think that as a story in gaming, and having maintained a solid player base through everything that game has been through is really admirable.
You're talking about Destiny 1 as a singular, or you're talking about the Destiny franchise as a whole?
I mean,
Because I feel like they have been able to retain a good fan base, especially when transitioning between the two games. Because if my recollection serves me right, Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 are very similar, but in the same sense, very different in the way they play and the way they kind of deal with themselves.
goodness, how do I answer this?
Activision.
Yeah, basically due to
Activision. That's how
due
you answer it.
to Activision, they were forced to do a sequel title update to the franchise when in reality it was just another expansion for them, and they really should have just kept expanding on the first game.
Yeah.
So, to that extent, I consider them to be the same project, but Destiny 1 was my introduction to the universe. And so that is why. And it's got more writing that I enjoy. Like the Books of Sorrow in Destiny 1 from the Taken King expansion are immaculate. I love reading them.
I'm just disappointed that it's
the
Nolan
first
North
one's
instead of
story.
Peter Dinklage now. It's no longer
Yeah.
Dinklebot.
I
Dinklebot,
like
rest in peace.
Dinklebot.
Let's see.
Like Dinklebot, because no matter what situation, he has no fucking emotion.
No, I quite
He's
the
a
opposite of
robot.
Zabs. I had quite a few games that I really enjoyed this generation. Nier Automata is incredible. Hollow Knight, Ori, Outer Wilds. Is Night in the Woods
Yeah.
this
Outer
generation?
What's sad about that? Those are all games that
Night in the
I've
Woods
been
is this
meaning to
generation.
play.
I
So
know.
it might be I might
by
be
Daylight.
myself.
Bloodborne,
It might be
Sekiro,
me
Dark
doing
Souls
it to
3,
myself.
Warframe. I think
Dead
was
by
7th
Daylight?
generation. Dead by
Oh
Daylight
yeah, I
was
didn't even
this
talk
generation.
about Dark Souls 3. That's absolutely my favorite game.
I definitely need to give Nier Automata a try.
Oh, it's
I'm a
so
nerd
good.
for that, so
And
I'm
the
happy
was
about that.
Nier
I
Replicant
was the one.
update's
I
gonna
was
come
the
out.
one that said Dark Souls 3. So
Promasian redeemed compliment. Promasian,
I don't know what that means. I just
You-
redeemed it because I thought it was funny.
you get a compliment. I
Oh, well, that's fucking... Compliment. You know what? Take
appreciate you
that compliment,
so
give it
much.
to Diesel.
Oh, Diesel, you are so beautiful.
You're good with
Delightful.
words.
You are so delightful.
Why the-
You are.
I love.
I love how
people
much you
giving
vocalize your
me-
opinion. You
I
vocalize your
love
opinion so
people
much.
giving
You're
me
not afraid to
praise.
say what you want to say, Diesel.
Everything you're saying sounds condescending as shit. It's
I'm not
hilarious to
being
me.
condescending
I love it.
at
No.
all. I would never do that to my friends.
He says in a condescending tone. Big meme.
Skinny being condescending.
Skinny. You're a piece of shit.
Thank you. All right. Real quick, to wrap up this stream, to wrap up this console generation, what is one game that you are looking forward to? Diesel.
Can it be a game that I haven't played yet?
If it's coming out on the next generation.
Demon Souls
That's a
Remastered.
good one.
There we go.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be a whole lot of our answers.
Yes, I am very,
Well,
very
at least my
excited.
answer.
All right,
And your answer as well.
Promasian.
I am very much anticipating Halo Infinite, and I really hope it's not as much of a shit show as that tech demo was.
I
Yeah.
lost all interest, and I'm big mad about Halo.
Monkey. You know, like monkey.
I
Return
do
the
not
monkey.
like what the fucking...
Crazy.
anything
What's
looks
your
like.
game you're excited for?
As I
next generation?
said, Cyberpunk. I want to see if it lives up to the hype,
Nice.
and
Bloodborne
if it'll ever
Remastered.
actually come out.
All right.
Yeah, another
Zabs isn't
Halo
excited
Infinite.
about anything and doesn't enjoy life at all, so we're gonna skip him.
He's excited about weed.
Damn.
Let's see. No, I'm
He's
just kidding.
excited about
Zabs.
Oregon legalizing cocaine.
It's not legal, guys. Stop making Oregon memes.
You fucking
It's just
crackheads.
decriminalized. There's a
Blood,
difference.
Bloodborne Remastered is Zeb's choice.
No, probably not. Zabs, what is your most anticipated game of the next generation?
Probably whatever fucking shit show of a Call of Duty they come out with.
Cold War.
Cold War. Okay.
He just fucking...
Damn.
All right. I knew I shouldn't have asked.
Damn.
This man's
Go.
depressed. We'll get him a sunbox
He's
later.
the sad drunk, yeah.
We'll get him some vitamin D.
Get him a smoothie.
All right.
Now,
I'll
you
give him
just,
plenty
you,
of vitamin D.
I thought I had to live up to the hype. I just thought
I
was
see.
role playing as the sad guy now. I don't
Sad
wanna
boy
let you guys
hours.
down.
Damn.
Is that it?
Zab, say a funny thing.
No, Demon Souls. I already said
Okay,
that.
Demon Souls remake.
Demon
Gotcha.
Souls is absolutely Demon Souls remake.
Yeah, let's
100%.
see. Based on what I've
Wholeheartedly
seen of the next
Gonna be tight.
generation, I am excited for Halo Infinite just because I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to know. I just
If
want to know
fuck-
for sure.
It up, and if they did,
Next
how
Mass
hard they
Effect.
fucked it up.
Yeah.
I
Um,
heard
I
there's
was-
supposed to be a new
I-
Mass Effect.
I was the first one that said Demon Souls remastered.
yes, I recall. I
know,
remember.
That's when I agreed with you.
That means you can't have it, Zeb. You gotta pick a new game.
I
I
am
gotta
very
pick one
excited
more
for
for this.
Pick a
Demon
new game.
Souls
I already picked
remake,
Halo Infinite.
but I'm probably not gonna get a
Unfortunately.
PS5 for a while. I think. Well, I don't know.
I lied. What's the new fucking Elder Ring?
Oh,
That'll be
Elden
tight.
Ring, yeah. Elden Ring.
You got
It
might be
fucking
cool.
Elder Scrolls 6. That'll be tight.
I heard a rumor that the reason that Elden Ring hasn't been followed up on is because they are having engine troubles adapting for the next generation. It's still being worked on. They're still hard at work on it.
Seems
They've
fairly
just
common.
hit a bit of a roadblock adapting the engine for
Yeah.
next gen hardware.
I mean, isn't
Oh.
that usually the issue since they don't know the limits of the console? That's why
Yeah.
a lot of games that come out when when the console first drops are usually very limited compared to the games at the very end of the console's life.
Yeah.
They haven't had enough testing on it yet.
Skinny.
Yes.
I don't know if you have talked to people about this yet, but me and you are still streaming Gears
Engaged?
5, right?
Oh yes. Monday, the next stream that we do on Monday will be
Wow,
a
fucking
Gears of
destroyed
War
it.
5 stream. That Diesel and I are gonna do. Hopefully, if Diesel survives to that long, we'll see. I strangle him in his sleep.
COVID.
Oh, dude. I hold on. Can I change? Okay, I haven't answered yet. My most anticipated game for the next generation is when they finally put out the DLC for Cuphead, because I hope
Oh
to
my
God that they add.
God.
I hope to God that they add
Crossplay or
online
multiplayer at all.
multiplayer, and
Yeah.
Zebs and I can finally
Oh
play
my
Cuphead together. That's my most anticipated game. Let's see.
Because
there
you
was-
usually yell at Zabs for another
It's
reason.
not gonna
Yes.
fucking happen.
Dude, it will happen
Yeah,
one
we
day.
fucking
Don't you dare crush my
see
dreams.
each other more.
Let's
Crush 'em.
see.
Crush
A
'em
couple
into
of
the dirt.
noteworthy games from the generation. Undertale was definitely a big game of the generation. And honestly, I heard this today. So was Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy was a
Yeah.
big cultural touchstone of the generation.
Wasn't it? It was a
I don't
2015
like that.
Yeah.
release, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no,
It's
that's an
all-
extremely massive touchdown.
They all
It's
just
all-
got added to Game Pass too.
Yeah, so it's
Wait,
it's
on
all-
the Xbox? What the
It's
fuck?
all on
Yeah.
Game
I'm not
Pass.
GPP ready no more.
That's
Don't make
hilarious.
me play that shit.
Let's see.
I'm down
Is
for
there a
it.
Freddy's
multiplayer one?
multiplayer.
I don't know if there's a multiplayer one.
Oh,
There isn't.
I'm
Brand new
down
Amnesia.
for Five Nights at Freddy.
I'm
I'm
not playing
down
Five
for
Nights at
this
Freddy's
one.
with you.
Brought
With
PewDiePie.
any of you.
$10 and letting Diesel making Skinny play it.
Oh,
for
no.
money. We could do that.
Oh,
I know what
no.
you're talking about, guy.
Play Five Nights at
That's
Freddy's.
true, I
and
will
say
play
some
it for
gamer
money.
words.
Let's see. Breath of the Wild.
We have to do
Ooh,
Gears
yeah.
Gears first.
Yes, Diesel. We will play Gears.
It'd probably be like a Friday game if it were to happen.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild's weird because it initially released on Wii U, but since nobody remembers what the fuck a Wii U is, it like just got thrown onto Switch, and everyone's like, "Yeah, it's a Switch game."
Oh, dude,
I
you're totally
remember
right.
it.
I've beaten Breath of the Wild on the Switch like twice.
I haven't gotten to play it, but I did get to play Genshin Impact, and it's basically the same thing, right? It's got the same stamina
God,
spot.
Yeah.
what is with
it
you
is
and
like the
Genshin
same
Impact?
thing.
Listen, I think it's
No, it actually is like the same.
I'm
it's
telling
Breath
you
of
right
the
now,
Wild.
Breath of the Wild is super easy.
interesting. Yeah, I believe that.
As long as you don't have to. As long as you know how to do the shrine puzzles.
Gotcha. I will say, here's the thing that I admire about Genshin Impact. It is a gacha game that's like a waifu collector, right? It's anime, collect titties, right? But it's also a fully fledged, well-designed game. And their inspiration was one of the most well-designed games of the generation. And I really admire that they decided to go really big and make a thorough, beautiful, engaging world around this established gameplay system.
Shut the
Did you
fuck
talk
up.
about Monster Hunt? Did you talk?
I'm kicking. I'm Diesel. I'm gonna strangle you in your sleep. I didn't talk about Monster Hunter World. Oh, dude.
Zev.
Monster Hunter World and its follow-up
Zev, Skinny's
expansion,
trying to justify
Iceborne.
Weebery again.
Monster Hunter World
So
is
is Ice
really fun. What's up?
Iceborne
was a good
is just
game.
an expansion in like an old style where you can still buy it on disc, or is it like you buy the disc, you get Monster Hunter World and Iceborne included as like a download code?
It's
Because I keep seeing Iceborne discs, and I'm just confused as to if it's supposed to be a brand new game or not. Because I
It's
have
so-
nothing
Iceborne is the
about that
DLC.
franchise.
hold on, wait. It is the same thing as a Destiny expansion, where when it comes out, if you want to buy the game, it will very
Gotcha.
likely become bundled with that expansion. So
Wants to be
Destiny,
one
the
of those.
Taken King
Gotcha.
edition, was the Destiny 2 that you were buying a year after release. It was basically, if you're going to buy Monster Hunter World in this year, it's going to come with Iceborne because that's the most relevant content.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I would just wanted confirmation because it was brought up, and I forgot I had that question.
Yeah. It's also great. It's awesome. Mason and I have played it a bunch on stream, and we talked about how awesome it is as like a co-op experience. If you can get into it and play the game on its terms, it's got a lot of like, how do I say this? It's gonna throw a lot at you, and not all of its UX is great. Not all of its user interface and user experience is perfectly designed, but there is some really fun gameplay to be had there, and it's really fun to learn that game and to help each other out and hunt monsters and chop off tails and stuff. So yeah, that was this hereby concludes another episode of the weekly recap podcast. Thank you guests for volunteering to stay up late and hang out with me and talk about games. I appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you guys again next week. Let's see. So coming up this week, we have a Gears 5 stream with Diesel. The Destiny 2 expansion Beyond Light drops on Tuesday. And if Mace's family's still sick and Mace can't come over to play a game, then I'm gonna do that. Otherwise, I don't know. I'm sure that the Destiny 2 expansion will get played on the channel at some point since it's getting dropped on Game Pass. Other than that, I don't have any ideas for what games to play next week. If anybody has something they want to throw at me, let me know in the chat. Join the Discord, contribute to the game recommendations, or donate and become Mastery Games. Thank you so much to Bird Calls for letting me use his music in the background of this podcast. I really appreciate it. Go check him out on Spotify or any other music platform. His name is up there on screen. You should be able to see it. He makes great music. He's a buddy of mine. Definitely check him out. And yeah. Good night, everyone, and I'll see you next time. See ya.
Jamal.